Here's a headline that caught my attention. This is a release from CCV. This is the Center for Christian Virtue out of Columbus, Ohio. And we've referenced these folks numerous times on the program. And I encourage you to visit their site, ccv.org, especially those of you in Ohio, but it's of interest to anyone, really. Here's the headline: Rowing in the Wrong Direction. 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans vote for same-sex marriage mandate. Last night, and this was released yesterday, so that would have been, Tuesday night, 8 members of Ohio's Congressional Delegation voted in favor of a national same-sex marriage mandate. Those members and their D.C. office phone numbers are, and they list them here. I'm not going to give you the phone numbers, but you can go to their site and get it, and this is public information anyway. But here's the names of those from our Ohio Congressional Delegation that voted for a same-sex marriage mandate. Joyce Bietti, Democrat, Columbus. Chantel Brown, Democrat, Warrensville Heights. Mike Carey, Republican, Columbus. Anthony Gonzalez, Republican, Rocky River. David Joyce, Republican, Chagrin Falls. Marcy Captor, Democrat, Toledo. Tim Ryan, Democrat, Warren. Mike Turner, Republican, Dayton. So, you know, votes are a matter of public record, and of course, these are representatives. So we, the people, can hold them accountable for their votes as we might choose to, and we certainly need to know what they're doing. But these folks just voted for a same-sex marriage mandate. A new piece of legislation moving through Congress, might head to the Senate, whatever. And I'll just insert something here. When this issue was coming up, and I heard about this thing percolating a little bit a few days back, now they've started moving it through Congress. All right. To me, it's just a knee-jerk reaction to what the Supreme Court just did with Roe v. Wade, because they probably see the handwriting on the wall, because the court could very well reverse, you know, the same-sex marriage rulings that they had made. And really what all they're doing is they're putting it back to the states. You know, they're not eliminating anything. They're just saying, look, this is not constitutional. This is a state matter. And then, of course, when it gets down to the state level, the people can debate it in their states. And, Neil, it'll look different across the country. But these kind of rulings foster freedom. We don't need the heavy hand of a federal government. This is what's choking our country and has been for decades now. We need less federal. Get it off our back. Return to the Constitution. Give the people freedom. What's your take on some of that?
I think when you read the founding documents and then the other writings of many of our founding fathers, they didn't envision a big, strong federal government. Yeah. It certainly wouldn't appear that way. And obviously, the other side of that with this specific legislation, I guess, that they're trying to get through, when the courts passed it, it's been several years ago when the Supreme Court, I don't remember when that was, but if I'm remembering correctly, even in the states, some of the states that it might be different now. The culture has shifted quite a bit. But even like California couldn't pass certain things by the people.
Right.
And so the court made the decision, but it wasn't the people's vote.
It wasn't the people.
And it certainly wasn't on a federal level. Right. I mean, there was no amendment to the Constitution or anything. The people didn't vote in representatives to do that. So the court just laid that down, which by the Constitution, they don't have the power to do.
Yeah, so it's interesting that our Congress is trying to pass a same-sex marriage mandate. You know, it's our federal government shoving this down our throats. Well, the people, as Neil just illustrated, they have not wanted these things. And leave it up to the states. Let the people decide. Well, that's an issue of freedom, isn't it? You know, before you even get into the moral aspect of these things, are we going to be a free people? Or are we going to have a federal government dictating everything to us? That's not what America was about. You know, it might be what America is becoming. But by the grace of God, we want to hold that kind of spirit back. We don't want this oppressive spirit that strips the people of their freedoms. CCV encourages you to reach out to these lawmakers, express your frustration for their harmful vote. The following statement is from Center for Christian Virtue President Aaron Baer. Quote, "Our political parties just don't get it. At the core of our crumbling education system, our historic national debt, our strained child welfare agencies, and our inflated prison populations are children raised with no connection to their mom or dad, or sometimes both. Instead of focusing on policies that would actually help these children, 4 Ohio Republicans and 4 Ohio Democrats voted for Nancy Pelosi's political ploy. We don't need virtue signaling. We need actual virtue, says Aaron Bear. We all know what works best. Children being raised by the man and woman that brought them into this world, who are committed to one another for a lifetime. This is why government was in the marriage business in the first place. Our nation wanted to incentivize the best possible environment for children to thrive. The further we've gotten away from this beautiful model, the more children have suffered and the more government has ballooned in its weak attempts to fix the crisis. I strongly urge Senator Portman and Senator Brown to reject this backwards political stunt and instead look to support children and their fundamental right to know and be raised by their mom and dad. So there you have it. That's President Aaron Burr of the CCV organization. I don't know what your feelings are on all this, folks, but I certainly encourage you to think through it. And as Christians, we certainly want to help people live prosperous lives. And we can't live a prosperous life if we reject the will of God. We know that as believers. Now, how's that going to play out in government? Well, we just need government to stay out of it. Let the people govern themselves and get this thing back to the state level. We don't need the federal government mandating these kind of things. This debate will continue on as long as there's a battle for freedom. Neil, if there's no battle for freedom, then we won't like the other alternative, because we'll all be living under tyranny.
Mm-hmm. Which is happening all over the world. We've seen even nations, even in South America, different places that have done that. They've shifted their systems, and they don't have near the prosperity or the freedoms that they had. It's not just about having more stuff. You have freedom.
Amen.
And it's just a better way to live.
Amen and amen. Well, we're praying, and I encourage you to do the same, and we're standing for truth. Amen.